Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Nos programmes offrent plusieurs langues. Veuillez visiter suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Nuestros programas ofrecen varios idiomas. Visiten suprememastertv.com/schedule.
हमारे कार्यक्रम पेश किए जाते हैं कई भाषाओं में. कृपया देखें suprememastertv.com/schedule.
I see the light inside all sentient beings. The difference with human beings is that the personas that we live within create the illusion of value. Everyone is particularly loved and beloved in an egalitarian way.
Heaven is Beautiful, Near-Death Experiences of Reverend Peter Panagore, Part 304. Continue watching to find out more.
Zerwaki means hello in Otomanguean, one of the dialects of Otomi languages. I am Marta. The Otomi people in Mexico thank you for always choosing the compassionate way of life. May heaven bless you always. On today's episode, we continue our discussion with international best-selling author, professional speaker, and widely renowned devotional broadcaster, Reverend Peter Panagore, who has had 2 near-death experiences, or NDEs, that profoundly shaped his life. Peter explains that his NDEs greatly intensified his desire to turn inward. Since his first NDE, he has devoted time each day to meditation and prayer.
One of the side effects of near-death experience, and there's a lot of them, or after effects as people call them, can be a more direct relationship to the divine. And I think a life of meditation and prayer opens one's spiritual ear up wider, and one's spiritual eye becomes clearer.
Reverend Panagore has practiced meditation for more than 40 years. A few years ago, he had a remarkable inner experience. One evening, when he returned home after hosting a late-night broadcast program, he tried to rest. However, he found himself unable to sleep, so he decided to meditate instead.
I decided to meditate. And as soon as I began my chant, I was plucked out of myself and carried, how do I describe this? It's like it wasn't my soul self. It was more like a combination of soul and spirit. People talk about their astral body. It was more like an astral body thing, but not as defined. And so I was plucked and pulled outside myself and brought into an ocean of sound. Some people call it the choir of angels or the cosmic music, but it was the most beautiful, complex sound of frequencies that pervaded the existence of all of the space that I was in. And it seemed like it was above the material world, but it penetrated into the material world. But I was in some sort of heaven, and I was also an individuated sphere of this very same sound of cosmic love frequency, the most beautiful music. And I was being raised up through this ocean, maybe carried by my angel, and I was raised rapidly up through this ocean of the divine self, of sound, of music. All things are made of this frequency. And as I got to the very top of it, I approached the very edge of light itself. And as I got to the light, my mind became active again, and I was plummeted out, back into my body. And over the next 3 hours, I would pulse between this world and that world. And when I would close my eyes, I would be raptured out of myself and brought into the divine healing frequency of beauty and love and fullness of being. And in between, when I was back in my body, I was lying on the sofa. I remember hearing the kids working on their homework in the other room, and I closed my eyes and I'm out of myself, and I open my eyes again, and my wife is standing there, and I close my eyes and I'm out of myself. And so I'm pulsing back and forth between these two worlds, and each time I don't go as far as I did before. And I opened my eyes and it was over, and I began to feel back in my body again. Only once again I was feeling the stress of being not my soul self, being contained inside this physical thing that I didn't understand anymore. And I didn't remember who Peter was. I just knew that I was this frequency. I was this love. I was this sound. I was this music. And I was not this thing.
Peter explains that all human beings, rich or poor, high-ranking or living in rags, have the same inner light of the divine. But what about animals? Do they also have this radiant inner light?
I see the light inside all sentient beings. The difference with human beings is that the personas that we live within create the illusion of value. This person's more valuable than that person. The homeless person is less valuable than the CEO. That's just not true. It's not true because they're all divinely loved by God in an equal way. Everyone is particularly loved and beloved in an egalitarian way. And I see animals the same way. I look in their eyes and I see the light. And I don't see a difference between the light inside my dog's eyes or the light inside a human's eyes. It's still the same radiant light. Animals are divine beings made of light, just like human beings are.
Reverend Panagore shares another story about animals. One time, when he was a student attending Yale University, he decided to visit a Trappist monastery. During his stay there, he had an interesting experience with a little chickadee.
And so I went to the monastery, and before my meeting with my monk, I was there for several days. I went out I was a bird watcher at the time. And so I decided to go bird watching. They had 2,000 acres of property. And so I took off my shoes and I decided to go on a super silent, very focused bird watch, which to me meant walking meditation. Every step I took was total consciousness of feeling exactly where I was. Break no twig, brush no leaf, move with control and breath. And so I was on this bird watch and I'm listening and I round this corner and I hear the song of a black-capped chickadee. And I stop and I'm very quiet interiorly. And I listen, and the bird comes closer to sing and closer to sing, and suddenly it lands on this branch above me. And I'm looking at it, and I put my finger up. I lift my finger up for it, and it comes down, and it lands on my finger. And then it leaps from my finger, and it comes up, and it touches its beak to my nose and its talons to my chin, and it beats my cheeks with its wings. And it flies back up to the branch. And I'm still very peaceful and very centered and not thinking, just breathing, just being. And I look into its eyes. And when I look into its eyes, I see the divine light inside it. And I know that it sees exactly the same divine light inside of me. And it's not a separate light. It's not his light or her light and my light. It's one light. I understood at that moment that all breathing beings, whether they breathe water or air on earth, are made of the very same light as I am, and that they have the same connection to the divine as I do. And the truth is that animals are divine as well as human beings. The fish and the birds and the deer in the woods, even the fisher cat and the skunk, they're all made of divine light. just like me, just like you. I feel the radiance from them, and I feel it from trees. I feel it from flowers. I feel it, it's everywhere all the time. Everything is made of this. Every molecule, everything is made of light. Everything is made of love. Living beings, plants and animals. And so when I encounter an animal, a cow or a horse or a dog, or I can just feel the divine self inside them.
Reverend Peter Panagore, thank you for sharing your precious, insightful, and blissful experiences. We are grateful for your wisdom and kindness.
For more information about Reverend Peter Panagore, please visit www.peterpanagore.love.
Wonderful viewers, thank you for your company today. Please join us again on Saturday, July 18th for the concluding episode of Heaven is Beautiful, Near-Death Experiences of Reverend Peter Panagore, Part 4 of 4. Coming up next is the magic plant Moringa oleifera, right after noteworthy news. Through the grace of the divine, may all your days be filled with love and contentment.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule and suprememastertv.com/SS